Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled End Times 382, an intro to Transformation Part 2, the truth about what it means to be born again. The podcast objectives are analyze the breadth of the transformation process, reveal what it means to be born again, and reveal what it means to be a new creation in Yahushua Messiah. This lesson contains timelines and other visuals. Therefore, if you are listening to the podcast, I advise you to watch the video version on our website or YouTube, or request a PDF of the lesson so you can add the visual effect. You must follow the process. Shalom, my beloved brothers and sisters, and welcome to Day 162 of our exposition of lawlessness. In the most recent podcast, we introduced the critical degree of obedience. Enter transformation. In doing so, we revealed how we obtain the mind of Yahushua Messiah. To wit, we must be obedient unto death, which is primarily metaphorical. And yet, for some, death has been primarily literal. For lo, the scriptures and history are filled with the accounts of many faithful men and women who not only suffered with Yahushua Messiah, they were martyred for holding fast to their beliefs and for continuing to walk in obedient faith, even unto their dying breath. And this is why they will receive a crown of life. For look, listen, it has been written, be faithful until death, and I shall give you the crown of life. Here lies the inflection and the problem. To wit, we cannot obtain the mind of Yahushua Messiah and be faithful until death if we have not been transformed. Remember, transformation is the key to the renewal of our minds. Ergo, we cannot obtain the mind of Yahushua Messiah until we complete the transformation process and purge ourselves of every trace of lawlessness. Now, the question of the hour then is, when do we complete the transformation process? The answer is sure. We complete the transformation process after we achieve perfection. Per the image to the left, perfection is at the top of the pinnacle of holiness. Ergo, the transformation process includes our mastery of every degree of holiness. Vis-a-vis, it is the primary illustration of the entire pinnacle. I'm sure many of you have already gathered this, for we have proven that faith and obedience are the most pervasive of all the degrees of holiness. To wit, all the lines of holiness are expressions of faith, and all the intervals are models of transformation, i.e., the critical degree of obedience. Along these lines, our entire quest is a series of upgrades to our faith, which is followed by a series of tests and trials, which serve as a proving grounds. And each time we succeed these grounds, we experience transformation until we achieve perfection, vis-a-vis the spiritual model of Yahushua Messiah. The alternative would be to suggest that we can be in the spiritual model of Yahushua Messiah, i.e., the perfect man, without achieving perfection. Not only is this a non-starter, but it is also sacrilege. And yet, many are under this working delusion, for they will not be chosen. As for you, my friend, you must appreciate how transformation is a process that spans the full breadth of your quest for holiness, perfection, and everlasting life. Ergo, you must follow the process until you reign over every degree of lawlessness. Have you been born again? Now, these things being what they are, it should be clear that the primary objective of transformation is to change our minds by purging our thought dimension of anything contrary to the Father's will. Trust me, this is a more difficult enterprise than many realize. This is precisely why the transformation process continues until we achieve perfection. It's because the constant merging of our thoughts with the Father's thoughts requires us to reign over every degree of lawlessness. Notwithstanding, this does not discount the progress you have made thus far in your quest and the progress you will make. And yet, I wanted to make that point clear because of all the controversies concerning these matters. Along these lines, there is a spirit of deception within the religious circuit that is seducing men and women into believing they have achieved one of the many spiritual milestones in their quest without fulfilling all the requirements. On this wise, many are claiming to have inherited the fruit of transformation without completing the transformation process. And the most obvious false claim on this wise pertains to the matter of being born again. Let's talk about it. Now, first things first, when many claim to be born again, they are suggesting that they have been born of the spirit of Elohim, to wit, from above. For this is the only way we can enter the everlasting kingdom of Elohim. John 3:3-5 is revealing. Yahushua answered and said to him, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born from above, he is unable to see the reign of Elohim." Nakdeman said to him, "How is a man able to be born when he is old? Is he able to enter into his mother's womb a second time and be born?" Yahushua answered, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, he is unable to enter into the reign of Elohim." Now, the question we should chiefly entertain is, what does it mean to be born from above? What does it mean to be born again? The answer is sure, and it constitutes our first revelation in this podcast. The word born in this passage is figurative, which reveals the spiritual birth Yahushua is referring to is equated to regeneration. Likewise, the word above is more accurately translated as from the first, from the very beginning, and or from the top. Now, along these lines, we understand that to be born again means that we have completely been renewed in the Spirit. The key word being completely, to wit, every facet of our beings, which proves we cannot operate in lawlessness and at the same time be born again. The next question then that we should entertain is, what does it mean to be completely renewed in the Spirit? The answer is sure. It means you have unlocked all the powers of the Spirit of Elohim, and you are reigning over every degree of lawlessness. This is also what it means to be in Yahushua Messiah, to wit, a member of his assembly of righteousness. 2 Corinthians 5:17 is revealing, therefore, if anyone is in Messiah, he is a renewed creature. The old matters have passed away. See, all matters have become renewed. When all things become new. Now, this powerful verse connects the dots on this crucial topic, and I will break it down in this final section. To begin with, Shaul is revealing, if anyone is in Messiah, he is a renewed creature. Clearly, this is in line with the testimony of Yahushua Messiah. Vis-a-vis, Yahushua declared that we must be born again to have everlasting life. That is, we must be regenerated in the Spirit, i.e., to return to the first, i.e., the very beginning, i.e., the top. Now, this begs the question, what constitutes a return to the first, i.e., the very beginning, i.e., the top? The answer is sure. Our perfection for man in his original state existed in a state of perfection. Brothers and sisters, this is why perfection is at the top of the pinnacle of holiness, as you can see by the image to the left. This is why I refer to our ascension as the quest for holiness, perfection, and everlasting life. To wit, our ascension of the pinnacle of holiness and our mastery of each level, from faith to love, is an illustration of the process by which we are born again. And it is how we fulfill the command of Yahushua Messiah and are born from above. For look, perfection is not only at the top of the pinnacle of holiness, it is also the spiritual state of man's origin, to wit, the very beginning. And we must return to the spiritual state if we are to be in Yahushua Messiah and have everlasting life. Next, Shaul is revealing the old matters have passed away. See, all matters have become renewed. The question then is, what are the old matters? The answer is sure. They are the derivatives of lawlessness that were destroying our souls. We know this because all who are in Yahushua Messiah are a new creation. And it is impossible to be a new creation if we retain any aspect of our former lives that is contrary to the Father's will of regeneration, vis-a-vis the old man. Romans 6:6 reveals, knowing this, that our old man was impaled with him, so that the body of sin might be rendered powerless to serve sin no longer. Ephesians 4:21-24 is revealing, if indeed you have heard him and were taught by him, as truth is in Yahushua, put off with regard to your former behavior the old man, being corrupted according to the desires of the deceit, and to be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the renewed man, which was created according to Elohim, in righteousness and set apartness of the truth. Colossians 3:9-10 is revealing, do not lie to each other, since you have put off the old man, with his practices, and have put on the new one, who is renewed in knowledge according to the likeness of him who created him. Now, these things being what they surely are, we must provide closure to these matters by revealing A, how they are related to our transformation into the spiritual model of Yahushua Messiah, and B, how they set the stage for our victory over complacency. And we will do so in the upcoming podcast. Yahuwah bless you until then. Now, here is the final word. If you wish to live again, depart from iniquity and forsake your sins. Brothers and sisters, this is the message we have received from the beginning. This is what it means to be born of the water and of the Spirit. To wit, the water as a type and shadow is what cleanses us, and the Spirit, as manifested, is a transformation agent who regenerates our beings until every part is not only quickened, but we are made to walk in the newness of life. And not just any life. My dear friends, we are talking about everlasting life. To wit, we are born again such that we may one day live again in the everlasting kingdom of our Father in creation. And as this is the singular reason why faithful men and women embark upon this path, I encourage you, don't be weary in well-doing, for you shall reap if you faint not. It may get hard at times, and times may be tough, but always remember, the key to surviving tough times is by not focusing on what you don't have. It is by focusing on what you've got. Now, here is today's assignment. Meditate on the word you have heard today. And as always, ask the Father to reveal the truth to you. For the children of Elohim live by conviction. And if he has not convicted you, or if you had not heard him concerning these matters, you should pray until you do. Today, I want you to meditate on the word I have shared. Specifically, I want you to meditate on what it means to be born again, i.e., to be born from above. And as always, do so in a spirit of honesty. And if you were already convicted by the spirit of the truth, that's great. Give praise to Elohim for confirming a matter you already knew. On the other hand, if this is not something you have prior considered, I ask you to consider it faithfully. Remember, the enemy is deceiving many by causing them to believe they have finished a race they have barely begun to run, and thus they will not finish, and the prize they sought will not be won. And so I encourage you to be persuaded in your mind concerning these matters, for they are at the foundation of many truths we have yet to reveal concerning the 80 degrees of lawlessness. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, End Times 382, an intro to transformation, part 2. And the next podcast is entitled End Times 383, an intro to transformation, part 3. I will post this podcast on Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. Until then, my friends, continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim. Continue to watch. Continue to pray. Continue in fasting. And most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming The end is near.